So I'm demonstrating this join as you go for a granny square on my temperature blanket. So this I'm making with a 3-round granny square, and you can see I've been joining as I go. And the join as you go technique is done on the last round of your square. Now you can add a border to use that as a join, or you can just continue with the final round, and where you've got chain spaces you can use that space to connect to the adjacent square. So you can see on these ones we're joining the granny stitch is the 3 double crochets or 3 UK trebles together, and then in between at that chain space is where I have joined. So I usually do the first side in the final round before I start to join, and as you can see here I have already joined my first corner, and I have made my first lot of stitches out, or the last part of that corner. So now if I lay it down here, I'm up to making the chain space, and I'm going to connect it to this adjacent space, and I'm going to continue to do that along. So made my stitches, so I'm going to make my chain space, and then I'm just going to slip stitch to that adjacent space. Okay, and then I'm going to continue on the square that I'm working on to make the next set of granny stitches. Oops. And then so that's the 3, then I'm going to make my chain for that round, and then I'm going to slip stitch it to that next chain space on the adjacent square. Corner to the chain space, that's part of the corner. Now this next step will apply if you are joining with a border that has multiple chains in a space. You might have a picot stitch, or you might be making 2 chains or 3 chains before you join. So you would replace the middle chain stitch with a slip stitch, and if you've got an even number, just put a slip stitch in the middle. So for this one you could either consider a chain 2 space or a chain 3 space, but either way I'm going to make my first chain. I'm then going to slip stitch and join it to those middle stitches from the adjacent corners. So for this one I'm actually joining to this will be the 4th square, and then I'm going to finish my chain space for my corner by making another chain, and then I'm going to finish my corner stitch. So for example, if I was joining with a 3 chain space, then I would chain 1, then slip stitch, then chain 1, and continue with my journey. So then this one I would then continue down to this side so that both squares are joined, and then I would finish my last round like I would normally.